Hi team, this is the Two Fat Brokers
Are we a team?
podcast. Well, we're family.
Ah, okay.
We're much more of a team than family.
That is true. You're our family.
My mum would kill you. I don't know what your mum would say. We're Two Fat Brokers. I'm Barney from Dubai. This is
Ben from Abu Dhabi.
Our last podcast was all about what happened in 2021. Go back and have a look at that if you'd like to know. This one is going to be about 2022. We are February 1st. We will discuss what we have seen in
What
January.
the future holds. We'll look into our magical crystal ball.
And we'll have a quick chat about what we think is in store. So Ben, what is in store for the exciting market of Abu Dhabi?
Yes. So we spoke a little bit about in our last podcast. May as well recap a little bit that 2021 was pretty solid for Abu Dhabi. Sales up, 1.5%, rents down 1.5%, give or take. And what we think is going to happen in 2022 is the villa sector is still going to be pretty solid, still going to go forward. We're still going to probably see an outperformance in the higher end villas. So Saadiyat, in particular Saadiyat Hid and Yas Island did very, very well last year, but we're probably still going to see quite a slow market in apartments. There's still a fair bit of supply that needs to be soaked up in apartments, so we're still probably going to see a slow Reem Island, a slowish Raha, and a kind of maybe a slowish, Saadiyat and Yas in the apartments. But the villas still pretty positive. There's not very many villas coming on in Abu Dhabi, so we'd expect 2022 to be, not wild. We're one thing might be wild in is off-plan launches. We know Alda are expecting to launch some absolutely huge projects in 2022. Saadiyat Groves being one, so it'll be really interesting to see what the uptake of that is, given the renewed market sentiment. We don't see anything wild happening. Hopefully it'll be nice, steady as she goes, plodding, boring growth, but we're definitely seeing a difference in villas and apartments in Abu Dhabi right now.
Yeah.
What about Dubai?
I think we're gonna experience something very similar. We always have that the spectre of huge numbers of properties being handed over, but what we really see from the market at the moment, and it was starting to be very evident last year, is it's becoming a location-based market. There's been a lot of construction out on the Al Qudra Road. I went out there, got a nosebleed because I was so far away from the city. It was a 40-minute drive from certain developments out there to get to the marina. That's
Is the marina the heart of Dubai these days?
Well, there's two, isn't it? There's downtown, and then there's the marina.
But not the creek?
Not the creek, no, the creek. Well, yeah, I guess that's more of a business hub. There's a lot of companies based out there, and you get sort of your more less sort of expat community out there. But no, the real hubs are, or new hubs, let's call them then, are Business Bay, downtown, and Dubai Marina. They are going to be the markets that I think will underpin the Dubai real estate sector. You're now getting suburbs to Dubai in their entirety. But again, with Abu Dhabi, I think Dubai is going to be the same. We're going to have more interest in houses than we are in apartments. And again, more action, more traction.
So could you see those areas market almost as like their own cities? So like Marina's a city and you have suburbs around the marina.
They don't really
Downtown's a
have
city
yet,
and they have suburbs around that.
Yeah, they're growing like that, but they're like towns outside of city centres.
Yeah.
They have small centres themselves. Emaar are very good at building communities, so they have a community with a shopping centre and and that kind of thing, and usually based around a golf club. But the major sort of cities, the commercial hubs and metropolises are the two that I've just spoken about. What we're really going to see, and I'm excited to see, is more traction in the higher end markets. Six Senses has just been launched in Dubai, being built by Select Group.
It's a hotel?
It is
a spa, a really massive spa.
Yeah, it's going to be a huge spa. That's it, nothing else. No, it's going to be nine villas, and super
9
prime
villas?
luxury. Yeah, 9 beachfront villas, much in the same
So it's super luxury.
It will be super luxury. I mean, they're 80 to 90 million dirhams per villa. And, you know, anyway, look, I digress. It's not important. That's not.
Those don't even exist in Abu Dhabi. We don't have 80, 90 million dirham villas. So then what are you going to see? So for 2022, you think you're going to see...
I hope there's going to be a cooling. I hope that we still continue. This is what I hope. I mean, you know...
So you think the market now is still super hot? Right now?
I think it's cooling, but it's still hot.
February 1st, 2022.
I think it's cooling, but it's still hot. And it's cooling because there's not a huge amount of supply on the market, and those that are selling are asking prices that people are bulking at a little bit at the moment. You
Okay.
know, but there is very little supply, so that shows to me that there's an appetite in the market, and then there's the
supply across the board or in specific areas.
across the board.
I mean,
You know,
your
listings
experience is
are key right now.
more in the high end luxury and the super.
Yeah, I
prime.
don't really get involved with off-plan at all. I mean, you know, I've sold sort of, you know, maybe 10 off-plan units, and they happen, you know, they tend to be the larger ones. So off-plan is not my forte. Off-plan always has a market here. Always did, even when we were in the doldrums. It was still, you know, a very active part of the market. But then, you know, that's people banking, as you say, on the future of Dubai. What I would like to see is a cooling. What I would like to see is, I mean, you know, what we're seeing now. You know, it's not quite so easy to do business, in as much as that pairing buyers and sellers is becoming a little bit more difficult. Whereas before, I think people were just prepared to pay anything to get their hands on what they want. Now, a bit of a more pragmatic view on the market, I'm hoping for.
So we see any like you were talking about them before, different areas. Some areas are going to be strong, some areas are going to be weak, or you think it'll be a broad-based kind of recovery or broad-based growth in 2022? Got a bit of a Mike Pence fly going around here. A bit annoying.
Maybe he wants in. Ask him what he thinks of Abu Dhabi. Boring. Do I think? Yeah. I mean, when you say how hot is a market, you know, volume is always going to be on that sort of that lower to mid income. You know, that's where the volume's going to be. I obviously deal in something a little bit more expensive, a little bit more what I like to call super prime. That
You like to call it that?
I do like to call it that.
Okay.
What do you like to call it?
I mean,
Mid sector in Abu Dhabi. There's no super prime.
yeah.
And the volume will always be there. I hope, you know, if we can maintain or keep some of the people that have come to Dubai Expo, you know, get them to make it home, increase our population. Thank you. Then I
Wondering
think
where you were going there.
I think we'll see strength in the market. But for this market, as Ben says, if there's an oversupply, you've got to be able to get the demand to sate the oversupply. If we can do that, then the market will still go in strength. It will still keep going from strength to strength.
What do you think? What do you think about the fact that the global real estate market is as old as the hills? The last crash was in 2008, 14 years ago. Your average market cycle's 7 to 9.
Yeah, I mean, I have my thoughts on that.
This global market should have been put out of its misery by now, surely.
Yeah, but we
Going
have
senile.
these new income streams that people. For example, we've seen a huge influx of cryptocurrency, millionaires, hundreds of millionaires coming to Dubai, and you know this is an income that the world has never seen before. There's a huge resurgence, or not resurgence, but a huge boom in the tech markets, which has always been strong, but never been as strong as it is now. You know, the world is seeing wealth coming from areas that it typically hasn't before. So I think perhaps that's underpinning, you know, quite rightly what you say, you know, a world that is bucking the trend. You know, it's not just real estate markets, it's markets all over the place.
Yeah, I mean, and also there are more millionaires being created now, you know, at a faster pace than there ever were before. And if Dubai is a place for millionaires, you know, maybe that's great. I mean, not Abu Dhabi doesn't have the same global, you know, marketing and the same appeal, but for me, I think that we're due a global real estate recession very soon. I don't see one coming. I don't know where it will come from, but if you just look at the numbers,
I mean, it's interesting what you say about Dubai as a place for millionaires. Not often has anything of interest been said by influencer, reality TV star, but there was some
Influencers
lady,
like ourselves. We say a lot of
we'd
interesting
say
stuff.
nothing of interest to anyone.
We are influencers.
And there was
It's
some
happening.
British woman
It's
who was here
happening.
the other day, and she said Dubai is one of these places where you're not afraid to flaunt your wealth. I think flaunt's a terrible word, but you're not afraid to show the trappings of your success. And that's true. It's a sentiment that's been echoed by a lot of my clients. One of them from Sweden wouldn't drive his very expensive sports car around Stockholm for fear of it being stolen, and in Dubai there's never any of that. And it is a place where these people who are very successful, very good at what
Stolen
they
or
do.
keyed.
One of them, yeah. I mean, just take the wheels. People who, typically aren't allowed to show the trappings of their success can come to Dubai and not worry about any of that. And they get to reap the rewards of their hard labour in terms of the clothes that they wear, the house that they live in, the car that they drive.
Or their exploitation of the proletariat, depending, which side your politics are.
Is that what social media people do?
Exploit the proletariat? They probably do, actually.
Pretty
Yeah,
much.
yeah.
And reality TV stars. So I think it's a very good point. It is a place where the wealthy can be comfortable with the trappings of
And so
their
that's a good
success.
long-term bet, right? I mean, if you're a place that just caters to the ultra wealthy, not that Dubai is. I mean, there's
No.
we are a great example of people who are not ultra wealthy. Often quite the opposite, but it's a good long-term bet, right? People are getting wealthier, but there
Abu
is
Dhabi's
still
the
this
same.
spectre of this real estate market is
Sorry.
ancient. Is it going to crash? It has to crash. Does it not have to crash? Could it never crash? I'm saying crash too many
What are the
times.
don't crash.
Crashing
man,
on
don't
the
crash.
crashing on the
Software
podcast.
update. What were the indicators or the issues? I mean, obviously we had the Fannie Mac and Freddie Mae issues that that triggered 2008 to 2009. What industry is going to collapse to force this next downward cycle? And Dubai, UAE real estate has been on a downward cycle. This is our time to shine, right? So,
Yeah, well, I mean, that's a great point because the UAE real estate market is new, right? We literally turned around last year. We had our own mini recession. So if there was a global real estate market crash, we're already, close to the bottom, of where we were. We're now in our growth cycle. Will the UAE continue to grow for 7 years despite what might happen in the global market? I mean, that's interesting because our prices were falling from 2015, right?
Yeah.
And whereas the rest of the world was growing, and that's for one of those reasons. People see a lot of value in UAE real estate.
yeah, we're not divorced from the global economies, though, are we? I mean,
No,
this was one of the interesting things that was always said to me when I came here in 2008. 2008, when the global financial crisis happened, people said Dubai isn't linked to the rest of the world. The Dubai market, real estate market, will be fine, and we weren't. We are not insular. So if there is a global recession, real estate or otherwise, we will feel it. There's no way we will be a port in the storm. To what extent, I don't know.
Agreed.
But a lot of the wealthy people here are not just wealthy in Dubai terms; they're wealthy in global terms. They are exposed in a financial way all over the world.
And market downturns, normally the wealthy do absolutely fine. It's only the poor schmucks at the bottom, like us, who
What is it
who
that
get
rolls downhill?
stuck. Swiss rolls. Anyway, that's probably enough of our
So hang on,
predictions for 2022.
you think there's going to be a downturn in 2022?
I don't think 2022, but I think it has to happen. I don't know how it would affect the UAE, but I think it has to happen.
And what do you think will be the catalyst? A pandemic?
Well, makes you think. If we rode out the pandemic, we can ride out anything. No, I mean, a US recession.
Well, we'll all bugger off to the metaverse anyway.
That's
That
true.
happens.
That's true. Can roll down hills
Start
in the
buying your
metaverse.
VR headsets now, kids.
Yeah, probably a US recession will set off a global recession. The catalyst might be the Chinese property market, might be the massive drop in cryptos that we've just had recently. If cryptos go to zero, the
some
loss of
crypto,
value
isn't it?
will be. Please don't. Okay. Yeah, could be anything, but recessions happen all the time, and I think off the back of them, we'll see a property recession as well. Hopefully, and my fervent prayer is it'll be short and sharp, because the one that we had 2015 to 2021 was just slow and
Death by a
painful.
thousand cuts.
It was awful. Yeah, just cut property prices in half overnight, and let's get back to growing after that. Anyway, I tried to cut us off before. Let me cut us off now. That was a good our predictions for 2022. Hopefully, steady growth and predictability. Well, that's me being boring again. But fingers crossed. Yeah.
We have been the two fat brokers on that massively interesting note from my brother. We've been two fat brokers. I have been Barney.
I have been Ben.
Goodbye.
Goodbye. Thank you.